Hello and welcome back to the Weekend Spread, the Schooner Pod's weekly college football podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Howard, and with me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell, Ty Lee, and who, not with us, but he'll be piping in from an undisclosed location in the French Riviera, Boaton Blake. He is on vacation and has a bunch of pre-recorded videos, so his picks. We will have Robo Blake. The robot captain will be on as well.
Are we going to say anything bad about robots on this podcast?
Clanker Blake. Yeah, that's funny. The Clanker captain. I like it. Guys, another good week for everyone, except for me.
He's like, for everyone, quit.
I finally
got his wild card barely. Miami of Ohio had no business in screwing that game over and giving it up to UNLV, but they did. He got lucky.
I did. I'm feeling lucky though. UNLV, you roll the dice a little bit, but that's just how it goes. Got another great slate this week for week 5. Super excited to talk about it. But any news we want to talk about from week 4 before we start talking about this?
No, I think if you want to hear more on the John Mateer injury, we've recorded a completely different podcast for that. So if you're looking for content, this will now be our 3rd podcast of the week. Me and Bobby broke that down. I talked about the medicine behind it, thoughts on return to play. So dive into that podcast and that video if you want to go look for that kind of stuff. But I mean, not really, Bobby. I think this week is so much fun, especially for an OU bye week, that I just want to attack it head on.
Yeah, for sure. Only little bit of news. Ty, you've long said that Mike Gundy was like a dog with a toy in its mouth with his contract. Unfortunately, the OSU had to put Old Yeller down. Mike Gundy got fired yesterday after a long time on the job. Any final words for the departed Gundy?
I mean, he's definitely going to go somewhere. I don't know that it will be immediate
with Kale,
but I feel like they're already cooking something up. And I will say, obviously, his final years at Oklahoma State were less than impressive. But I think that you give it to this offseason, and a whole lot of schools, a whole lot of athletic directors are going to look at their situation. Maybe someone smaller within the FBS or something like that. And they're going to look at the entire body of work of Gundy at Oklahoma State. And I think it's pretty obvious that he's going to land somewhere on his feet if he so wishes. So that'll be interesting to see for the storylines, especially as we're talking about our weekend spread pod. Are we going to be fading Mike Gundy? I know I said in the text, it would be the funniest thing ever. This would never occur, but it would be the funniest thing ever if somehow Mike and Cale Gundy got hired at UCLA, and then we had Lincoln Riley versus
that man is going to be in Los Angeles. You are strongly mistaken.
Like, the only way that makes any amount of sense is if you do like a Bravo style or like I don't know, TLC style like mockumentary where you follow the Gundys around and him just trying to get into all sorts of mischief in Los Angeles. That's the Beverly Hills Gundys.
Yeah, it was going to be a Beverly Hillbillies situation for sure.
Exactly. Him out here, just try to like trap snakes on his off days and do all sorts of stuff. Like, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, he'd be great at one of the Mississippi schools or like probably something in the South. I think he'd definitely have to go to.
I think so.
We'll Sunbelt action.
We'll see how desperate Clemson is at the end of the season.
UNC. I'm just saying.
Imagine that move. Ugh.
Imagine UNC head coach Mike Gundy.
I saw it somewhere. Someone on Twitter nailed it. I'm pretty sure it was our good friend Brady Trantham, who said just replied with a Liberty gif, which I'm not gonna lie, Mike Gundy at Liberty kind of makes sense.
Oh my god, yeah.
But anyways, let's get into our week 5 slate. Quick look at the standings. To captain, who's absent right now, he's in the lead at 27-17 in 2025. Jameson, you're second with at 26-18, so you're right on his tail. Ty, third at 26-19, and I'm in last at 23-21, which is still not a bad situation, still over 500. Just shows that this is all a good panel, and but work to do for
Good
sure.
job for participating, Bobby.
Okay, look,
he's 3 games off of us.
I'm 3.
He's 3 games.
I'm 4 in the loss column behind Blake. That's really not that bad. So, without further ado, we're gonna start this thing off. We typically kind of snake draft this sort of deal. Blake's gonna kick us off with every single round, and then we'll just kind of snake between Jameson, Ty, and I. So, starting off with our first game of the slate, it's a Friday game, a damn good Friday game at that. It's the 24th ranked TCU Horned Frogs, undefeated, 3-0 on the season, 2-1 against the spread. They're heading to Tempe to take on the Arizona State Sun Devils, who are 3-1 on the season, 2-2 against the spread. ASU favored by 2.5. You can find this one 8:00 on 8:00 Central on Fox. Again, this is a Friday night game. Absolute treat of a game, I would say. Very excited about it. Ty, I'm sure you'll get into it once we get to this, but you'll actually be at this game. Excited to hear what you have to say about it. But let's hear what the captain has to say about his beloved Frogs.
Bonjour, everybody. I'm recording this week's podcast. I'm not live, but I am recording it from the French Riviera. So this is definitely a slate that is purely vibes per se, not as much of my typical research. But good thing is we're week 5. We know a lot about these teams. So let's hit it off. So first game hits close to home. We got TCU, Arizona State. I'm so happy about this TCU team. It was like last week, Josh Hoover had a fantastic game, and I don't even think he was up to his par, but takes home the skillet. We were absolutely slinging the ball, but there's 2 things that I kind of come concerned away with last week. First, the defense. The defense is still not there. We saw a little bit versus Abilene Christian where it felt like it was a little leaky in the secondary, and we kind of saw it again. It was like we were able to get some key turnovers on Kevin Jennings. We were able to apply that pressure, but just feels like on a down-to-down basis, we're not able to stop teams. And so Arizona State poses, I think, a big threat in that sense. I haven't been impressed with this Arizona State team really as much this year as last year, but that doesn't mean there's still not a quality side. It's last week they went into Baylor, were able to win on a last-second field goal. I think Sam Leavitt's still one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. And also, I just really respect Jordan Tyson. So I think their offense is going to have issues. Their offense is going to be good, but we're going to have issues with it. I think this is going to be similar to the SMU game. I think it's going to be very high scoring, very just back and forth when it comes to offensive possessions. Personally, I would not bet this if you're actually putting money on it, but vibes-wise, I'm going TCU. Continue the Josh Hoover Heisman campaign. I think we're playing great. Another worry about TCU. Still no Kavarian Barnes. And we didn't really have a semblance of a run game last week. Still very concerning, but vibes-wise, I got to go TCU. I still got to ride it. But if you're probably looking to make a little bit of money, Arizona State, not a bad pick here, just because it feels like they've played some very high-quality teams to start this year, played good against those sides. TCU still hasn't played that quality side as of yet, but I just think like this is going to have huge implications when it comes to Big 12 championship time. So I'm going to take the Horned Frogs to keep it optimistic, but even as an optimistic Horned Frog fan, I definitely had this one circled as probably a loss when I was looking at TCU's schedule this year.
My God, what a hedge. What a freaking hedge. God, I wanted to flame him so bad in person. He's like, this is a game that we shouldn't bet, but if you want to make some money, bet on Arizona State, but I'm going with the Frogs. Like, pardon? Excuse me? The big thing for me is he hit on it. No Kavarian Barnes for TCU and eliminating the run game. I think that they can kind of do that versus SMU, but Arizona State, I'm a little bit nervous that they can play a back and forth, high scoring game and come out with a win whenever you're going on the road in Tempe. I think that Arizona State has shown more for me to be confident, and TCU without a run game does scare me. So I'm going to go Arizona State to cover here.
Ty?
Yeah, in Blake's defense, he was just kind of in his hotel room rambling. He didn't have anyone to cut him off, and I think he kind of forgot what he was doing there and just kept the recording going. So that's not a surprising take from him. I was fully prepared to go both ways on this one. But for me, this came down to the vibes. ASU is tested a little bit more. I understand it's kind of weird at this point in the season, and Blake would be kind of upset for me to say that SMU wasn't really quite the test from TCU yet. But I just think ASU has faced those tough games already. Both of these teams, I think, are remarkably similar in their trajectory on the season. So it will be interesting if some of these other Big 12 teams falter. These are kind of the teams that I have earmarked as could really be the first two out of the Big 12, depending on how the Big 12 championship goes. But for me, again, vibes. I'm going to be going to this one cheering on my home team, the Sun Devils. Tremendous vibes and tremendous atmosphere. And I have picked against them before at my own peril, and then it felt bad either way. It was kind of like picking against OU. So I'm going to have to ride with the Sun Devils on this one. I'm not super crazy about it. Blake's lack of confidence in TCU makes me a little more confident because he's obviously the TCU nowhere on this pod. But I will be riding forks up with my Sun Devils to get a close win at home. And I really think if they do, it's going to be close.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a banger of a game. I agree with Blake there that it should be a very good game. I think Arizona State's done a pretty solid job of rebounding, and continuing that momentum from last year. They had got a really big win against Baylor last week out. But to me, I just feel like TCU is in a really good rhythm. I think Sonny Dykes has something going here. I think Hoover is the real deal in the Big 12. And to me, this Horned Frog team just looks like a step better than we saw last year. They've definitely improved. I was really impressed with how they handled SMU. I was impressed with how, obviously just completely dismantled North Carolina. They've looked good all season long, and I know they're a dog. I know it's probably going to be a wild environment because Dillingham has ignited Arizona State. But I'm going to go with the Frogs here on the road in a tough spot. It's a coin flip to me, and when it's a coin flip, you take the points. So TCU is my play here. All right, moving on to our next game. Also in the Big 12, we've got the the Arizona Wildcats, 3-0 overall and against the spread, heading to Ames to take on the Iowa State Cyclones, ranked 14th in the country, and 4-0. We got an undefeated matchup here. Iowa State favored by 6.5. You can find this one 6 p.m. Central on ESPN. Okay, let's hear from Blake on who he has on this one.
Okay, next up, Arizona, Iowa State, another just great Big 12 matchup. And I think I got this one handicap perfect. And I know I'm kind of leaning into Jameson's just total glazing of Rocco Becht for it seems like the last few years. And he's a good quarterback. This Iowa State team has shown they're a good team. Like they're going to be contending for the Big 12 title this year, probably. And I guess I got to write it here. Like Arizona, I feel like is going to get some, just because of their win versus K-State, maybe people are going to be hyping them up a little bit, not thinking they're as bad. I think this team was terrible coming into this year. And I really there's been some wins there. They've looked a little bit better than I thought they would. But man, going on the road to Iowa State, this Arizona team's not built to keep up with Iowa State. Good defense, solid offense. Seems like Rocco Becht has the running game going with his legs, can throw the ball over the place. I just feel like Arizona is just way outmatched in this matchup. Don't trust Noah Fafita in these road environments. Once he's joined the Big 12 last year, it seems like this guy has fallen off a cliff. I don't care if you beat a crappy K-State team that just seems to be in dismal repair. So I'm going to take Iowa State, Rocco Becht, cover the 6.5 at home.
Yeah, no, I see where Blake's coming from, and I do think this Arizona team has improved. I really do. They look like they've taken some steps ahead. They don't look as hapless as they did last year. But this is Ames at night. Iowa State's going to be, probably breaking out the black and white jerseys, and that's a tough environment to play in. So to me, I think Arizona, their momentum, everything they've done against poor teams. Iowa State, while I don't think they're exactly the, that Kansas State win at the very start of the season hasn't exactly aged well with how poorly the Wildcats have been. But I certainly think they're better than Arizona here. So I got the Cyclones to win at home in Ames to cover the 6.5. I feel like that's a doable line. I don't think it's going to be the world's easiest cover in the world, but I think they get it done.
Yeah, I've slowly been. I'm sort of split testing right now this methodology that if a team is 100% quarterback centric, or if you talk about the quarterback way too much, you should fade that team when it comes to college football. And frankly, the NFL, right? Quarterback play is maybe at an all-time low in the NFL as well. So it's just disgusting what's happening in the NFL, but that's neither here nor there. That's out of our purview. But in college, I think when I hear the casuals and the wave tops, and I'm a casual, of the media talking about these teams, how much do they talk about the quarterback and how much do they talk about other stuff? And obviously, both of these teams are very quarterback centric, but when you talk about this Iowa State team, you talk about more than just Rocco Becht, even though Rocco Becht is sort of a star for them. So yeah, Iowa State at home, these are the games that give Matt Campbell his tenure there. Go ahead and give me Rocco Becht. I think they win by 10 at home at night in Ames. Arizona is, they're not ready. No, they're just not going to win by. Well, they're not going to win, and they're not going to cover. It's been a long day. I guess I can't talk. Give me a Cyclones at home at night.
Yeah, Iowa State's been tested. Big rivalry game versus Iowa. They toughed out and won already. They go back home and they play with their people, with the much better improving quarterback and Rocco Becht. Thank you, Blake, honestly, for giving me props, because I was a big Rocco Becht believer very early in his career, let it be known. But I think this Arizona team's getting too much props for being a Hawaii team off island and then beating a K-State team that not many people think highly of. And I just really don't get the metrics of this. This might have been my wild card pick if it wasn't on the slate. So give me Iowa State.
Bobby's on mute.
Clean sweep for the Cyclones. Hooray for Ames. All that good stuff. Let's move on to our next game. It is the 21st ranked USC Trojans, undefeated to start the season, taking a trip to Champaign to take on the somehow ranked Illinois Fighting Illini, who are 3-1 after a bludgeoning in Bloomington. USC favored by 6.5 here. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on Fox. All right, let's see who Blake has in this one.
Next on the slate, USC, Illinois, and I am so excited to talk about this game because this USC team, they're humming. We finally, maybe this is just good for all. Maybe this is a good therapeutic moment for both USC fans, OU fans. We can finally come together. Maybe Brent Venables is finally working out at OU, Lincoln Riley at USC. We can all just kind of go our own ways. We don't have to be one happy family per se, but at least we could just recognize maybe these coaches are finally working out at their own places. And I'm taking USC minus the 6.5 here. Illinois, concerning. I think this Indiana team is sneakily underrated in a way. I think this team looks a lot better than they did last year, especially under Mendoza, and just absolutely blew the doors off of Illinois. And I know Illinois was on the road, yada, 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 but even with USC traveling across the country, which has been a spot that I feel like Lincoln Riley has not really succeeded in ever since he's moved to the Big Ten, I like what I see from Jada Maeva. I like what I see from this offense. He's being efficient with the ball. He's running it well. It seems like they've established the run game well at USC. They're slinging it all over the field. Only concern, still no defense. Kind of a vintage Lincoln Riley team. So maybe Illinois exploits that, keeps it kind of close, 6.5. But I just want to believe in USC. I want to believe in OU. I want to believe in USC. I want to believe in some of these traditional powers that have just kind of been out in the desert are finally back. So give me the Trojans.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to pick USC here, but I'm going to zag on it. I'm going to go right back to Illinois because it was gross watching that Indiana game. But I think Illinois can come back home. They can collect themselves, throw that Indiana game in the trash that got out of hand, and got out of hand quick and just snowballed. Illinois is still a talented football team. I'm not going to overreact too much to that. And they play at home versus a USC team that Blake said that has been giving up plenty of points. That defense should allow Illinois' offense to bounce back, get some points, at least keep it close to cover if they don't win it at home.
No, Absolutely not.
We
Illinois
knew you were going to
Illinois got the brake speed off of them last week, and now they are going downhill. And USC is going to be the cliff at the bottom of the hill. It's you cannot put up a performance like that, like they did last week, and then expect that one of the greatest offensive minds in college football still has a quarterback that fits his system perfectly. I'm not saying he's going to win the Heisman. Anything's possible, but he has a quarterback that perfectly fits his system, and he has things clicking. And you're going to give me 6.5 points. I severely feel like I'm missing something in this one. The fact that it's 6.5, because do I think Illinois is going to be able to put up points on USC? Absolutely. But do I think Illinois is going to be able to stop USC at all? Frankly, I don't think so. I think maybe 10.5 would be a little aggressive on the line on this one, but I'm shocked it's not 10.5. Give me USC minus 6.5 all day. It might not look pretty. It's not going to be an absolute beatdown, and they're not going to get run off the field like Illinois did last week. But you're telling me this one could be like, I don't know, this one could be like 35-54 or something at the end of it. Give me the Trojans all day in that one.
I really hate to put us in a disgusting brothers split here, but I feel like last week was more of just a showcase of what Indiana and what Kurt Cignetti has built there. I feel like that was more about them than it was about Illinois. I think this line is reflective by how shockingly bad Illinois was last week. And I get it. I totally get it. I have thought about going with USC here, but to me, when you really look at their body of work, they slaughtered 2 bad G5 teams and then were decent against 2 really bad Big Ten teams in Purdue and Michigan State. I don't think Illinois is a bad Big Ten team. I think they do enough to get the cover. 6.5 getting 6.5 as a home dog, that you're ranked. I see something in Illinois that I feel like they can do enough to keep this close, maybe win it outright, but cover 6.5. So I'm going to go with the Illini in just the worst split of all time, because I know Jameson and I don't have good records there, but we're rolling with it.
Yeah, and this is a gross one too. So just bunker down, and hope for the best.
This would be a wild, this would be a curse breaker if you guys do win this one, to be fair.
Yeah,
if there's one that's not gross, then I don't think it breaks the curse, even if you win it. So this is a Hail Mary to break the curse for sure.
Yeah. It's tough. I've been on USC for a lot of this week, and I got to put my hand back on the Bielema stove here. So
I think Bobby
just taking you down with him, Jamison.
No, Bobby just needed a friend. He wasn't gonna pick Illinois until he found somebody else.
It's just I don't think Illinois is that bad, and I think as I've gone on, I've gotten higher and higher on Indiana, and that's my thing.
It is unbelievable that Blake is not here to hear these takes, because now we're arguing that the results on the field do not matter, and Illinois is in fact not bad, and you should ignore the fact that the one time they played a competent team, they got smoked.
We're just gonna bet that sample size of 1 can help us out here. That's all it is.
It's about covering 6.5 at home. That's just my thoughts. All right, let's move on to really one of the biggest matchups of the weekend, if not the biggest. It's a 6th ranked Oregon Ducks, 4-0, 3-1 against the spread, heading to Happy Valley to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions in the whiteout game at night for the first time in a while here. Penn State favored by Tree Fitty here. You can find this game 6:30 p.m. Central on NBC and streaming on Peacock. Look, we've all talked about it. We've all talked about it forever. Everyone has talked about it, in the media this week, about how James Franklin can't win the big game. This is a big game. And look, I get that Oregon has played, the Little Sisters of the Poor, the past 4 games. They haven't exactly been tested. But I think there is credence to big games. And I think this Oregon team is truly an elite elite team. I'm still iffy on Penn State. They're 0-3 against the spread. And, that little tasty hook at the end, that half point, like Penn State might win this one in a field goal, like game winner situation. But going back to my thoughts on TCU and Arizona State, if you have a relative coin flip game and you're giving me points on the side I like a little bit more, I'm going to go with the points. So I'm going to go with the Oregon Ducks plus 3.5 here. This is going to be a banger of a game. Very, very excited to watch this one.
Are we playing Blake?
Yes.
I forgot to rotate Blake into this. I'm sorry.
And who did you pick? Sorry.
The Oregon Ducks. We're going with the Duckies. Sorry about that. This always throws me off. This threw me off with Robo Jameson though. So, all right, where do we have the Ducks? There it is.
Okay, this is a game that I'm actually legitimately upset that I can't talk about on the podcast. I feel like there's been some tension building in the background about this one. Oregon, Penn State. I know Ty, he's probably already gone off slandering Penn State, slandering James Franklin about how they haven't been able to do anything, and maybe even been going after my record this year when I said Alabama was going to be in the national championship. Look, nothing close to that. Clemson, I thought, was the third best team in the nation. Absolutely. They have 3 losses now. That's the only 3 that can be associated with that program. But Oregon, Penn State, an incredible matchup. Granted, I thought Oregon was going to be way worse this year, but Dante Moore, Dan Lanning, that combination seems to be working out very well in Eugene. But this Penn State team is just not getting enough hype. Like, I know they haven't played anybody, but they're just, even the bummy opponents they played, that defense looks incredible. They have 2 fantastic running backs. We got this Penn State team is loaded. The loaded top to bottom. I feel so good about them. I feel incredible about them. Even with Drew Aller as their quarterback, I just feel like this team is going to take a next step this year. And this makes or breaks it. Like, this is kind of a make or break it game with me when it comes to Penn State, because we know they're probably going to go at least 10-2 on the schedule. I think they only have 2 hard games with them and Ohio State. So they really only get tested twice. And the Penn State mantra is, we can win all these easy games, but then when the games that matter, we can't show up. I think it's different this year. They just have dogs everywhere on this team. This team is going to be good. I think this team is going to play for a national championship and still win a national championship. I'm not backing down after some reactionary first half takes that I've been seeing in some of these group chats lately, that it's like, oh, they're struggling with Villanova early. Yeah, they beat by 50 because that's how good teams just put others away. I'm going to go Penn State here at home. I feel like this just sets up perfectly for them. Oregon just kind of, let's be honest, Oregon as a program just is a little bit like Penn State. Always have feasted on the underdogs, but can't seem to win the big ones, and just kind of lost that national title pedigree. I haven't won the big one yet, and probably won't for a while. So I'm going to take the Penn State Nittany Lions minus 3.5.
All right, before Ty goes, let me just say this. Ty is in a very unique situation here as a Penn State hater and an Oregon Duck believer. Ty is on a streak of picking the favorite, the minus 25 picks in a row. Ty?
So he has to break it. Can you do it? Can you pick the ultimate evil in your mind over your beloved Duckies? Oh my God.
To be fair, I keep game timing it. As I mentioned, Ole Miss Tulane was in fact a game time that my original notes had me fading Ole Miss. And at the start of this one, I was still game timing TCU ASU, kind of based on Blake's pick and his confidence in TCU, because I am a TCU believer. So that one also in my game notes was TCU. So, but this one is so unbelievably easy. It's one thing that Blake said in his opening statement that is just unbelievably false and frankly should get him barred from re-entry into the country, because it's a horrific accusation. It is not slander to say that James Franklin has an atrocious record against ranked teams, and it is not slander to say that Penn State does not have a good record in the whiteout game against ranked teams. Both of those things are statistically true. So Blake can be on James Franklin's payroll all he wants. He will not return to this country if he continues to speak those lies. That being said, Penn State allegedly has this amazing atmosphere, and they're allegedly the number 3 team in the nation. And they're supposed to be this dominant team that's going to win the national championship and is the toughest place to play. And Oregon is a fraud. And the best that Vegas can do is -3.5. Oregon is going to win this football game. Statistically, you give me a ranked opponent, going into Happy Valley, statistically, they're going to win that game. You give me a ranked opponent playing James Franklin, statistically, they're going to win. Penn State is not they are a fraudulent team. They are blue Texas A&M if Texas A&M wasn't fairly legitimate this year. They're like 2015 Texas A&M in blue is just Penn State's in perpetuity. And they're like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely disgusting that people are hyping up this Penn State team. They should not be anywhere near the top 5 at all. They have no resume to prove that. Frankly, should Oregon be where they are? Probably also not. We're too far into the season to have unproven teams ranked this highly, but Oregon is going to win this football game. Dan Lanning gets his guys up for big games, and the times that he stumbles are just fundamentally sound, really boring teams that don't have like an amazing storyline, like Kalen DeBoer's Washington teams always, who also, frankly, had some rock stars in Michael Penix and that receiver guy up there as well. And this is not a Kalen DeBoer bit. They had some dogs on that team that really gave Oregon some fits when Oregon was, very hot, admittedly. But I think that this one early in the season, Ducks versus Penn State, this is a big one for Blake and I. If you watched the pod earlier, Blake picked Penn State to win the national championship, a game that they would be playing against Alabama, according to Blake. So that should tell you everything you need to know about Blake. I picked Oregon to win the national championship, and I was sort of serious. So I think the Ducks, to get into the national championship, need to win this game. So go ahead and give me my beloved Duckies +3.5 in Happy Valley at a whiteout. Shout out to Tyler. He can wear his T-shirt and roll up there. Give me the Ducks.
I'm so proud of you, Ty. You did it. You did it.
I mean, just
5 in a row favorites.
Only because there's so many. Penn State has more living alumni than any school in the nation. They were like the University of Phoenix in the 20th century, apparently, because they just produced an unbelievable number of alumni. They're like 5 times the size of Oregon. And frankly, the only reason Oregon's not favored in this one is because there's just so many Penn State fans out there that they were going to push this line to Penn State being favored anyways, because they're delusional Northeastern football fans. So it's not my fault that I picked the dog on this one. Oregon should be the favorites.
It's Penn State. Bobby, you remember that Oregon game versus Northwestern? Oh, you remember that one?
Look, that was a bad beat. That was a bad beat. But you can't put that blame on the first string Oregon players. That's clearly on the backups.
But what I'm saying with that is Oregon's done it too. We're talking about, Penn State didn't look good enough versus their inferior opponents, and now we're gonna dog on them like Blake was saying. Oregon has done it too. You cannot leave Oregon out. And of course, they did not do it versus Oklahoma State and Oregon State, probably 2 of the most embarrassing programs right now in FBS. Like in terms of what they are as a program and what they're doing this season, probably 2 of the most embarrassing. So I'm going to take all the Oregon stuff and say, hey, I think they're a really good football team, but whenever you line it up, defense is going to win it here. Penn State at home, defense will allow Penn State to get up a little early and then put Oregon in a desperate position to make some mistakes, and Penn State runs away with this. I love Penn State here at 3.5.
All right, we got a split on Oregon and Penn State. Let's move on to our SEC games, starting off with the 15th ranked Tennessee Volunteers, 3-1 overall and against the spread, heading to Starkville to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Mississippi State they're 4-0, which is a little bit surprising for Levy's squad. Tennessee favored by 7.5 on the road. You can find this one 3:15 p.m. Central on the SEC Network. And we're going to go ahead and play Blake's preview here and see who he likes.
I feel like this is an underrated SEC matchup here. Tennessee at Mississippi State. I feel like the public money. The average Joes are going to be all over Tennessee. We saw what they did against Georgia. They were actually looking pretty effective. If it's not for a missed kick at the end, we would probably be having very different conversations about this Tennessee team. But I feel like Mississippi State's not getting talked about enough. Like, sure, they are not going to be running this conference. They're not even going to be towards probably even the top half of this conference. But the quality of play that they're getting out of Blake Shapen and those guys this year, it's at least it raises the floor of the SEC. It's like if Mississippi State's going to be one of your worst team, like they're definitely feisty this year. They're definitely feisty, and it seems like that ASU win gave them so much juice that I feel like this home environment's still going to be good. It's like they're probably going to get blown out in some of these SEC matchups, and this could potentially be the one, but I don't know. I feel like there's something good. There's a nice little mix with the Mississippi State team that I'm going to be rocking with. So I'm taking the plus 7.5. I think they keep it close. I'm just not ready to trust. I know we talked about it last week, but trust a Heupel offense to really put teams away. There are a lot of glitz. There are a lot of glamour. They like to bring out the flashy plays. Brazzle, they're getting 60-yard touchdowns, but when it really matters, when you need to run out the clock, when you need to do some of those little things just on a down-to-down basis to get those 4 or 5 yards for the first downs, I don't trust it. I just don't trust the consistency. I think this spread is a little too high. I love the hook, so give me the Bulldogs plus 7.5.
I kicked myself not picking Tennessee last time they're on the slate. I said I've been looking for an excuse to pick Tennessee. They played Georgia. I got spooked with history, and I'm mad at myself for it. I'm not making that mistake again. This 7.5 line is Vegas out there trying its darndest for you to not put money on Tennessee, and I ain't believing any of their tricks. I will not fall for your tricks, Vegas. Give me Tennessee minus 7.5. Joey Aguilar, Chris Brazzle should get up early, and I understand Mississippi State's offense is fun. Like, Shapen's looking decent, and he got a good wide receiver crew with one of Brennan Thompson, top 5, I think, in yardage in the SEC right now, as Ty scowls over there. I think that, like, they have some, like Blake said, some juice, but I've been looking for an excuse to go and back Tennessee some more. I really like this Tennessee football team. I think they handle Mississippi State easily here.
Yeah, I'm not scowling at you, Jamison. I'm scowling at Blake, who should know better. And frankly, once again, should be barred from reentry for ball not knowerism. And he's an extremist at this point. He's an extremist ball not knower. He should not be allowed to reenter because that's absurd. Mississippi State this is a classic ball not knower, looks at 4-0 versus 3-1 and assumes that 4-0 is better because he's getting points there. Is it Tennessee is Tennessee going to be able to put him away? Will Tennessee be looking ahead here and just kind of squeak by and people think it's a disappointing win that they hold against them when in reality Tennessee is backed off in like the third quarter or something? Absolutely. But that's going to be like, oh, Tennessee could have won by 4 touchdowns and they won by 2. 7.5 is ridiculous. Starkville is not a tough place to travel to. It's not a tough place to go play. And I've been there. I've been there for plenty of home football games. It's not a challenging place to go play. Actually, it's a quite wonderful little place to go and visit a football game as a visiting team or as a home fan. You should go, but it's not like you're not going to College Station or Death Valley here. Like, this is absurd. Tennessee minus 7.5 all day. Absolutely. Once again, this is a team that's going to just absolutely beat the brakes off of this other team and just kind of coast by. And I think they win by 2 touchdowns. They might win by 10, but it's not going to be anywhere close to 7.5. Tennessee is so much better than that. You're like, frankly, I think you're having to bet on just extreme look ahead somehow from Tennessee here. It's just not. I just don't see it from this Mississippi State team. So give me the Vols minus 7.5 on the road in Stark Vegas.
So this is Tennessee's first road contest of the season. The previous ones, you had your season opener in Atlanta, neutral site, and then you had 3 games in Knoxville. Here's my thing with Heupel teams. I feel like they don't look like the same when they go on the road. I don't feel like they're as sharp. I feel like they just don't cruise as well. And the last couple of times we've seen Tennessee on the road last year, I know last year and this year are totally different things, But in general, Tennessee just doesn't have that edge that they do at home on the road. I don't think Mississippi State's going to win this ball game, but I think they have enough. And I think Tennessee, maybe it's an overlooked position. Maybe it's, just, bogged down on the road. I kind of think the Vols don't cover here. I think they get nipped by that hook. I think Mississippi State does enough to keep it close. And this is a game that on the surface, yeah, you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, Tennessee's going to roll here. But you forget they're Jekyll and Hyde on the road. And to me, I'm going to go with the Bulldogs to cover 7.5 with Blake.
Fallacy trying to use past Tennessee as a barometer to pick in the weekend spread for this year. We already got screwed with that last time either on. So
I did want to point out real quick for people that are curious, because Tennessee is very flat and long. Knoxville is 5.5, 6 hours from Starkville. And Starkville is about 2.5, 3 hours from Memphis. They're just off the dome. So this is one that plausibly Tennessee fans, if they wanted to, could orange out Stark Vegas if they so desired. But we'll see. But it's a little far, a little not far, depending on where in Tennessee you're coming from.
Well, let's also say too, Jameson, they were at home for that one.
Sure.
And yeah. And not only that, give them if you gave Kirby the extra point, if that's a normal regulation touchdown, they cover. So anyways, let's move on to our next game. We've got a team we're way too familiar with, the Auburn Tigers, 3-1 after a loss in Norman last week. They're heading to Kyle
number
Field.
26 team Auburn.
Number 26. They're right on the edge. I put it in there just because Blake can't troll me for it, because I guarantee you, the second he sees that, he's going to be like, oh, you're SEC bias.
This is the Bobby poll. This is the Bobby poll.
The BP poll. No, they're heading to Kyle Field to take on the Texas A&M Aggies, ranked 9th in the country, 3-0. A&M favored by 6.5 here. Find this one 2:30 p.m. Central on ESPN. All right, let's see what Blake has to say about this one. I feel like I know where he's going to go.
This is one of the easiest picks on the slate for me this week. I think Texas A&M's going to rout Auburn. I know I didn't probably watch too much. I kind of caught the second half of last week's Auburn-OU game just with the TCU-SMU overlap and how it went, but I just think the consensus coming out of it is that Jackson Arnold can't lead a legitimate football team. It seems like he can't hit those passes when he needs to. He's taking way too many sacks. I know that Auburn offensive line might not be good enough, and I think OU's defensive front seems very solid, and obviously you're a solid front if you're getting 8-9 sacks on a quarterback during the game, constantly putting them under pressure. I just can't trust Auburn from this point on. I think they're going to still be pretty solid. They have talent, have enough pieces, but I just think Texas A&M after that Notre Dame game, I see a team that's on a completely different level. Marcel Reed, although I wouldn't say he is a elite quarterback per se, I think he fits perfectly in this offense. It seems like with Bussy and Casey Concepcion, some of those guys, these guys are not going to be ones that you're trying to get big chunk plays. You need yards after the carry with those guys. They're shifty, they're fast. You can just get them on the outside really quick on some quick routes, which I think goes very well with Marcel Reed's kind of you can do the read option stuff really well. You don't have to rely on him to make the big time throws down the field. You can allow him to take some of that pressure off with his feet, get some just quick things out of his hands. I think they've built something gorgeous down in College Station when it comes to that offense. The defense surprisingly looks a little shakier than what I would think from a Mike Elko defense, but honestly, I don't think Auburn really is going to test it. I just don't trust them. I think this team is going to start sliding quick. Yeah, I just don't trust Jackson Arnold at all. So give me Texas A&M minus the 6.5.
Yeah, so 6.5 is an interesting number because that is actually the Auburn win total that I went under to start the season. And while I feel pretty poorly about that because I think that the Tigers do have some sort of talent there, it's not looking great. A lot of the reason why I did that was because of this slide, because of how brutal this front end of the schedule is, that things could careen out of hand. And if the players and staff and all this are anything like the fans, And to be fair, like if any head coach was like the Fan or had that sort of mindset, it would be Hugh Freeze, who I'm sure is still thinking about that OU loss and all the ways they were wronged and those damn cheating Sooners. And, we should have won that game. They're too focused on the past. If that's how they're thinking, they're going to let another game bite them in the ass. And this Elko coached A&M team, I think they're a damn good team. That is a bad team to play fresh off of a loss, an emotional, brutal loss, I might add. And I think they have a lot of the tools to make Jackson Arnold's life hell like OU did. Maybe not to the same degree, but that's a tough defensive team that's going to give them a lot of trouble in a really, really tough environment. So I like A&M 6.5. I feel really good about that as well. Maybe not a blowout, but I still like the Aggies.
Yeah, I have 2 picks here, actually, and it's the same pick, but one is to Auburn fans and one is to people who can read and write. And if you're an Auburn fan listening, that's called being literate, is what we call that. And one day you will attain that.
Literate is a big word, Ty.
If you're an Auburn fan and you truly believe that the refs in Norman, Oklahoma screwed you, oh boy, should you fear Kyle Fields in Texas A&M. It's like second or third to going to Austin, Texas, or going to South Bend to face Notre Dame and their like private refs or whatever. I don't know who refs for Notre Dame, but I know that Ford is always screaming about it. Great friend of the pod. But if you're an Auburn fan and you truly believe that the SEC refs are out to get you for bigger brands with more money, oh boy, oh boy, you're going to get smoked. Now, if you're a reasonable fan, this take is for you. Texas A&M, and this is not because of the Mateer injury, and I love Mateer, and I'm all on OU this year. But Texas A&M, frankly, has a better offense than OU. It is at the very least, it is more complete and will present more threats in type to your defense. At home, at Kyle Field, big momentum, big potential for hangover from Auburn. Look, I said this in the postgame pod, and this was not trying to make OU's win look better, and this was not trying to make, anything hedge or anything else, but Auburn has a lot of the pieces there. They have some absolute dogs at receiver. And again, if I said this on the postgame pod, if you watch any of the content creators and former coaches that do like film breakdowns on YouTube of that OU Auburn game, like you get a quarterback that can really make his reads there, which I know Arnold has the talent to do. That's a dangerous squad this year. So there is a lot of potential that Auburn, like if things are clicking and if they're locked in, which I just don't believe them to be, they very well could win this game toe-to-toe straight up. But I think there's too many things going against Auburn. This is almost not buying into Texas A&M that much because, again, we've seen that Notre Dame win maybe isn't super legitimate. Texas A&M could be a house of cards, but it is not easy to go into Kyle Field for a 2:30 game dealing with a massive emotional letdown like Auburn has just faced against a team that is very well coached and can present a very – I don't think their ceiling is as amazing as other teams, but they're a very complete team going on down in College Station. So go ahead and give me the Aggies minus 6.5 in this one. I'm not as confident as Blake is, but Blake, I believe, has to pick A&M or he will be, having to answer some tough questions in the home life. So, of course, Blake has gone with the Aggies. I'm also going with the Aggies without extortion or anything else motivating me. I'm not implying that Blake is being extorted, by the way, just to be clear.
Put me on an island. Give me Auburn here. I think this Texas A&M team is what they've done thus far this season is they've won games offensively, not defensively. That's a complete shift in what we know in Texas A&M. And that puts a lot on the shoulders of Marcel Reed, a guy that we know can do well versus lesser opponents and poorer defense, which I think with Notre Dame's defense, I don't think a lot of people are optimistic in them for the rest of the season. And then whenever he plays against tougher defenses with talent, he struggles. Auburn's defense is still good. Their defensive line will cause them problems. It will give Le'Veon Moss some issues. and Keldrick Falk will make Marcel Reed's life harder. I think that Auburn has enough talent to keep it close here and to cover the spread just based on the fact of I don't think that their defense of Texas A&M is what we thought it's been for the past couple of years, where I think it's going to give Jackson Arnold enough time to go out there and make a couple of plays on the run. This is a Texas A&M team that gave up 177 yards to the number one running back for UTSA. So I think Auburn does enough here to keep it close, cover it on the road, even if they don't win.
Yeah. This is one of those sort of no bad takes games. Like, both of these teams are like, the talent on Auburn is insane.
Yeah, it's a really good game. And like a lot of these games, I feel like are really good games.
If Auburn had a competent coach, they would be lethal.
Yeah.
But he's too busy looking for his cell phone. Google Hugh Freeze's cell phone to learn more. We're
going to move on to our next game. We got the 22nd ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 1-2, heading to Fayetteville to take on the Hogs, Arkansas, who are sitting at 2-2 after a just really brutal loss to the Memphis Tigers. You know, you never want to head into the Liberty Bowl. That's a tough spot. The Irish favored by 3.5 here on the road. This line has actually been sliding towards Arkansas. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on ABC. Let's see what Blake has to say. I kind of have a feeling what he's going to bring up, but we'll see.
Yes.
Where is it?
I'm excited for this one, and when the Pitties are on the slate, that's who I'm choosing. Give me the Razorbacks plus 3.5. There's, I would say, when it comes to the X's and O's, not much to love about Arkansas. I think we all saw that Ole Miss Arkansas game. That defense ain't stopping anybody. But Talon Green can sling it with the best of them. That offense can move. And Notre Dame, I think, looking a little weak. And what would be better? It's like Sam Pittman, he is not going to be here much longer. It's going to be so sad whenever he gets fired. But give us one more thing. Are the true diehards of the Pitties. Give us one more just shocking win against the Notre Dame team. Knock them out of playoff contention. We don't have to talk about them. This is a purely vibes play. I just feel like Notre Dame coming into Fayetteville, that crowd is going to be ruckus, and you're giving me a hook with the 3.5. I'm taking that all day. I don't know how that lines up. Like I said, this is the vibes week, not an X's and O's week. I can't line up because I think Notre Dame's probably a little bit better everywhere. They're probably a significantly better team. And honestly, I was surprised when I saw this line, but even then, I'm taking it. Sam Pittman magic. We just need one more game, man. Like, you can lose the rest of them, but we need this one. So give me the Razorbacks plus 3.5.
Dude, I got nervous there when he was going with Sam Pittman.
He doesn't have much time left.
I was like, don't say that about him.
What do you know about Sam Pittman? Where's Sam Pittman? Is he safe? Is he okay?
So I think these are two teams' defenses that is absolutely horrible. You want to know the over-under in this game? It's 64.5. Woo! Woo! I still might take the over on that one. I mean, like, this is going to be a back and forth. I know it's dirty, which is crazy, but it just shows you what people think about this.
There are 40 to 50 wild hogs on my scoreboard.
Nah, don't get me wrong.
How can I protect my small children against this game?
I do like a nice red piggy.
How can I protect my little Irishman against these wild hogs?
30 to 50 feral hogs.
I had a patient yesterday. He was wearing a Notre Dame hat, and I was like, "Oh, perfect. What could I do here?" And I was like, "How are you feeling about Irish?" He's like, "Pick the over." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what about Notre Dame?" He's like, "I'm not going to talk about that." It made me want to pick Arkansas, but I'm going to pick Notre Dame just because he didn't give me an answer. I think it's just the battle of the two worst defenses, and I think Arkansas's defense is worse here. But give me Notre Dame.
Underrated part about this game, Jameson, it's the Lou Holtz Bowl. Lou Holtz is probably two most famous stops in his career.
Dr. Lou referenced 2 episodes in a row now.
I know. It's pretty good to me. Ty, who do you like?
Look, there's so many things going on, and I always have at least one or two takes a week that I go completely conspiratorial on and so esoteric that I don't even know what I'm saying. And Blake has sent me on a spiral on this one because first he said, that Sam Pittman is no longer with us, which something about that made me start to look up Arkansas Stadium because I wanted to know how many people they seated to see if it was a tough place to play. And then I found out that Blake, while on the Mediterranean Sea, is slighting a stadium named after a man who was lost at sea in the Mediterranean, never to be seen again. And then is also Arkansas Stadium not named after anyone in the Walton family. And the guy that their stadium is named after, in very Arkansas fashion, was born in Fort Worth, raised in Oklahoma City, and went to Missouri. He seems to have no connection to Arkansas whatsoever, which is just the most Arkansas thing in the world. I literally am looking at his Wikipedia page, and there's like no connection to Arkansas to be found. So I don't know. The vibes are all over the place in this one, but I think this one is plain as day. You take the Irish here. You take the Irish all day. Not because they're the favorites, but...
Not because they're the favorites, Bobby.
No, because there is another pick that I have been much more consistent with. I don't think I've ever picked Arkansas on this podcast. I think we can all have to dig through the spreadsheet, but for years, I've never picked Arkansas, and it's done me well. So go ahead and give me the Fighting Irish 3.5. It's like, even if you just break down Blake's argument, is nonsensical. Like, his argument is, I think their coach is going to get fired. They're an abysmal team in free fall. It would be really funny if they beat Notre Dame, though, which it would. Notre Dame should not be anywhere near the top 25. It's like absurd, I don't know, independent bias or something. I don't know how to do conspiracies like the social media people, but give me the Fighting Irish in this one all day. I would avoid it, but I think this Notre Dame team just has too much talent to not win by 3.5.
We picked Arkansas 8 times last year, and Ty faded them each time.
So here's my thing on Arkansas and this game in general. It's massive. Yeah, this is a true blue blood coming into Fayetteville, and it's all on the line for Sam Pittman. He might be a dead man walking, but he has this there might be some magic left. He doesn't need just one more time, Sam. Just one more time is all you need. Like, Razorback Stadium is going to be hopping. They're going to be calling the Hogs. And to me, this Notre Dame team has not been impressive. They got completely outclassed against Miami. They lost a brutal game to Texas A&M. And even their win against Purdue, they needed a backdoor at the very end. It was kind of an insane cover. So I'm just saying, I kind of think Arkansas finds a way.
Pigs.
I kind of think the Hogs, all they need to be is good on one Saturday in a big game. Pittman is a guy who not an X's and O's fella. I don't think
one Saturday,
but he's a win one for the Gipper type of guy, and I think they find a way to cover. Although, if I wanted to make a very specific prediction, they'd lose on a heartbreaking field goal and still get the cover, like something like that. I could just see this ending in the most heartbreaking way for Arkansas, but also in a way that, wins me this game and makes me money, which is kind of like what happened against Ole Miss. So I'm going to go with the Hogs, not as good as they once were, but they can be as good once as they ever were. So we're going with the Hogs plus 3.5 here. All right, let's move on to our next game. It's the LSU Tigers, ranked 4th in the country, 4-0, heading to Oxford, take on the Ole Miss Rebels, who are also 4-0. Ole Miss favored by 2.5 at home. You can find this one 2:30 p.m. Central on ABC. Look, some real drama with this game. Ty, are you familiar with the Kiffin family drama going on here?
I am from the group text, but I will say for people that aren't, that is way too vague and could apply to way too many situations if you know anything about Lane Kiffin in college football. So please explain as if I am not.
Yeah, so we'll roll Blake's tape because mine actually involves a little bit of conversation about that.
This spread is wonky for me. You're telling me that Mississippi on a home field, like if you give them a 3-point home field advantage, which is very good, I would put it on par with the SEC. You're gonna have LSU just a half a point favorite over Ole Miss. Like, this line makes absolutely no sense with how good this LSU defense has been playing. I know the offensive hasn't been clicking at all for them. I know they did. I guess it clicked last week when you play Southeastern Louisiana. Like, you're going to put up some points, but it seems in this big time matchups, Garrett Nussmeier still doesn't feel comfortable, still not finding his targets. Hasn't been that he was kind of considered the best quarterback by some in college football, and I really haven't seen it this year. But when I see these weird spreads, I'm just running towards the side that I just don't seem to understand. Give me Ole Miss. Like, they blew out a pretty good Tulane team last week, one that I think is going to compete in the American with USF, the darling of the podcast. Like, they are a solid team, and Ole Miss just went in there with Trinidad Chambliss and just absolutely blew them out. Maybe it wasn't my craziest take early in the preseason when I said I like this Ole Miss team better than I did last year. Granted, that was with Austin Simmons. He seems like he kind of sucks, but look, Lane Kiffin committed to Trinidad this week. I'm rolling with the weird pick. This line doesn't make any sense, but give me that 2.5. I'm taking Ole Miss at home.
So what Blake probably doesn't know, because he's out on the French Riviera, is that Lane Kiffin's daughter just went, as the kids say, they hard launched a relationship, I believe, with LSU linebacker Whit Weeks, star linebacker. So in response to that, everyone's obviously tagging Lane Kiffin, and he just responded, "Take the over." I have been big on LSU all season long. I really have. But I feel like there's this new kind of edge to Ole Miss. I've been kind of doubting them all year long. And you just have that edge of, I'm going to beat the hell out of my daughter's boyfriend, especially after this week. Like, we're going to run up the score. We're going to get wild. I don't know if they blow them out. I don't think they do. But in Oxford, that extra little motivation, I'm going to go Lane and the boys to cover 2.5 at home. I don't know. Just feels like one of those weird, just concoctions of a week, but Ole Miss is to play.
I forgot it was my turn. I was scouring the group text for any message about this drama that Blake had reacted to, but he's certainly aware. He must be aware. For anyone curious, we are recording this at 9:40 Central Time on Wednesday. So this line is moving around a little bit. We're picking at 2.5, but ESPN currently has it 1.5, and I would expect it to potentially move a little bit more, honestly, until Saturday, just because I think it's one that many casuals are going to look at and say, and I'm speaking as a casual here, I was told that Nussmeier was a Heisman frontrunner. And I was told that LSU is the number 4 team in the nation. And I was told that LSU is a very solid team with a very solid resume. So you're telling me that they are dogs at not a particularly tough stadium. Again, I'm not trying to slight them. I've been to these games. It's not a particularly tough stadium. And I'll tell you some inside Mississippi secret knowledge. There's a whole lot of people that go to Ole Miss and that go to Mississippi State for in-state tuition, and they're Georgia, Alabama, or in particular LSU fans, at least in my time, because LSU was pretty solid as we were growing up. So I know plenty of people who have a degree from Ole Miss or Mississippi State, and you will only ever see them in LSU gear and rooting on them Tigers. So this one is confusing to me because I just don't see – I see the talent on the roster. I see the star power, blah, blah, blah. And I see how disappointing LSU has actually been. And I see how people are looking at LSU's resume is based on a Notre Dame win that is now potentially very flawed. But I don't know.
Clemson?
Clemson, yes. Sorry. basically the same thing. both ACC bums, but that was rude to Clemson. They've at least won national titles, but I don't know. I'm conflicted on this one because again, as a casual and as someone that has leaned toward LSU, I'm very confused. Like, LSU, why are you not using your best assets that you have on your team, in particular in Nick Anderson? And we don't discuss medical matters on this pod. We're not going to discuss medical matters as to why Nick Anderson is not at OU anymore. We're not going to discuss that because that's probably going to be lawsuits about that. But they've got Bauer Sharp as well. They've got absolute dogs in the tight end room at LSU. And it just confuses me that Nussmeier's not feeding my boys, Bauer and Nick Anderson. So
your boy confusing. Bauer Sharp.
Yes. Any OU tight end is my boy.
You were a big Blake Smith guy for a while, the club hand.
Any OU tight end besides Joe John Finley is my boy automatically. Joe John Finley, he's despicable. But
11-year-old Ty was like, "I hate you, Joe John Finley."
No, I didn't know about OU football then. Right? Well, I knew I didn't care. I cared about motocross.
You didn't know about OU football, but
I didn't care. I didn't care about. No, I knew about.
I
very much knew about OU football. I just didn't care. The only sport I cared about until I was in like 6th grade was motocross. But anyways, super long, super esoteric. Give me the Tigers because I'm
there. It is. Look at there.
But again, LSU should be the favorites. I don't know why they're not. This one is going to be stanky, and people are going to think this is a quality win either way, and it's not. It's a stanky one, and I wish Blake were here because he would be like, exactly, because if this was a Big 12 matchup, this would be like others receiving votes with 2 votes and just completely unranked. But, yeah, give me them Tigers.
Trinidad got to play Tulane and Arkansas for his defenses to start out. And everyone's been like, holy crap, look how good Trinidad Chambliss is. And you compare him to Austin Simmons. This is the ugly girl at the bar thing from like How I Met Your Mother. You put Trinidad Chambliss right next to Austin Simmons, and you're like, wow, Trinidad Chambliss is amazing. But then you put your hand over Austin Simmons and you realize, is Trinidad Chambliss actually as good as we think he is? You know the reference I'm making here? Ty's looking at me.
I know.
This would have gotten the podcast completely canceled, demonetized in 2020. So, not to get political, but I don't know what you're getting at. But
it's a How I Met Your Mother reference. I think it's a very
cancel culture would not have liked this one.
No, I think that it is a very fair.
You are lucky that we're not going to get political, but you're lucky that Twitter's under new ownership for this one. I'll tell you that right now.
We don't even broadcast on Twitter anymore.
So, no, but they would find this. They would have found this in 2020. It would have been over.
I think back to the point is I think Trinidad's decent, but obviously he hasn't gone against a defense. And LSU has shown as a defense that despite not doing much with good opportunities on the offensive end that they've provided to them, like giving 5 interceptions to their offense, they just aren't scoring as much, but they continue to hang tight and have low scoring games versus quality opponents. I think LSU will put some pieces together here and win this football game. And I think that a lot of people who've been doing this for a while in sports bet, when they see a pick that looks so wrong, you get nervous and you go to the other side. How about you just pick what you want? My brain's telling me LSU here, and I'm going to pick LSU here. I would have picked LSU if they were the favorite too.
Honestly, I would have picked this Ole Miss regardless because of the Whit Weeks thing. I know that might be a little silly, but
maybe it's Whit Weeks.
It's a silly sport.
But at the same time, like Lane Kiffin ain't playing on the field. Whit Weeks is. What if Whit Weeks is going to go downhill?
What if he takes out his twin? He's a twin. He's an identical twin. What if?
Yeah, West and Whit, right?
What if Kit? Yeah, he has a body double that Kiff could take out. Also, not to get political.
Is West actually his twin or just his brother?
They're definitely twins.
I know there are 3 Weekses on the team.
He might
multiple weeks.
He might be the there's
West is 2 years older. I know that.
Oh, okay.
Because he's a graduate.
Are they just all?
Because he came in to play with his brother, and then Zach is like the young freshman or whatever. So they're all playing
the baby Weeks.
Yeah.
Jameson is suspiciously on this LSU team, and not to get political, but I think he needs to post the birth certificate.
All right,
Okay.
I think we need to see his birth certificate. He could be.
We're moving on to our
Louisiana
next
student.
game before we get into the Jameson Louisiana birther controversy. It's a massive one.
Also live in DC, Ty.
God.
Oh my God, where does the rabbit hole end? There's buildings in Arkansas named after him.
Oh God. It's a 17th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, 2-1, heading to Athens to take on the Georgia Bulldogs, ranked 5th in the country. They're 3-0 overall, 0-3 against the spread. UGA favored by 3.5 at home. You can find this one 6:30 p.m. Central on ABC. Jameson, who do you like?
I've been talking about this behind the scenes. I don't know if I've been talking about it in a podcast, but I think I'm ready to buy back into Alabama. I think I was telling Bobby whenever we were on the way to the Temple game, I think buying Alabama at the stock low after what happened is good value. And I think it's getting cooked in here. And to be honest with you, what I saw in the Georgia game versus Tennessee, I saw a great amount of scoring that I was not anticipating to see, but the defense of Georgia did not wow me as much as I really wanted to. I wanted to see a stout Georgia defense really pummel a Tennessee offense. I think Alabama can put the tools together here to keep it close. Lose by a field goal, great, but I think that they could win this game as well. Make the SEC, the top of the SEC, a little bit muddy, make it a little bit fun. So give me Alabama straight up.
I'm going to play Blake's thing real quick because I kind of forgot to do it. So.
And for the final game on our slate before the Wild.
What are you going to say, Jameson?
I said that's fine. I forgot to do it too. I got ahead of myself.
It's okay. It happens.
And for the final game on our slate before the wild card spot, Alabama, Georgia. This was one I was so pumped about in the beginning of the season. I think I came on this podcast saying that Bama was going to go undefeated in conference play and win this one at Georgia. Didn't look good. Did not look good. Kalen DeBall not knower once again strikes early on in the season. But you know what? This is the types of games he shows up for. It seems like it's not the good ones that you have to worry about. It's the random wonky losses that he just takes whenever he gets these good wins that shows Alabama is talented enough to stay with these guys, but then just lose the funky one. This one's risky. This feels like last week when I'm chasing, kind of like a dog chasing its tail with Florida again, just can't give them up. I probably feel that way with Bama. It's like they have a stinker coming out versus FSU, and then ever since then has looked pretty solid against competition. Granted, not good ones, but still pretty solid. I'm going to go with Bama plus 3.5. I think they keep it close. I think Bama, there's just something about them that seems to have Georgia's number regardless of who's coaching that program. I know probably Ty has already slandered Kalen DeBall not knower, but these are the types of games he can actually show up in. I don't get it because he can't seem to take care of the Vanderbilts of the world or Mississippi State's. Like, they struggle with the most random opponents, the bottom dwellers of the SEC. I think they come prepared versus Georgia. I think they keep this one close. They could still outright win it. Still, I like what I see from Bama. Maybe if they get a win like this under their belt, they feel more confident, still have a chance to win the SEC. So I'm taking Bama plus 3.5.
What did I do to Blake to get just attacked by it? Frankly, it's disgusting the way he's attacking me. In the country of my mother's birth, he is attacking me.
It's the country of all of our mother's birth.
No, he's in France right now.
Oh,
it's
I didn't realize it.
Yes.
I didn't know your mom was born in France. Anyways, sorry.
It's disgusting what he's doing, and I will not stand for it. And he's not getting back into the U.S. I'll tell you guys that right now. It's just it's over. I'm getting on the app or whatever, and I'm not letting him back in. But I don't disagree with him. It's just I don't understand why he's attacking me in all of these. He's right though. It's Bama just always, regardless, has Kirby's number. Kirby just has this, like, I don't know. It's like the curse of Saban assistants that went to Bama. It's like there was some evil magic there involving Nick Saban where there was just some sort of baked in like juju that Bama was always going to have a leg up against you. It doesn't mean that you're never going to beat Bama, but it's just like inexplicably, it's going to be so hard for you to beat Bama. And it doesn't actually seem to be connected to Nick Saban in any super meaningful way. So there's some merit to that. And again, it's like he and I are allies when we're both here, and then he attacks me when he's gone. I don't understand it. He's crooked. He's on someone's payroll. We're gonna figure it out. Potentially it's A&M. Potentially it's Notre Dame. We don't know. But that being said, you got to go with the trends. This one is like the ickiest game on the slate. This one is the most avoid because I like. There's going to be a lot of people that make a wild take on this one and they're proven right, or they just happen to turn out to be right. If you're looking at social media, if you're looking at the media or whatever else, but I think that this one is just going to be icky no matter what. Like Bama could win by 2 touchdowns. Georgia could win by 2 touchdowns. Or Georgia could just cover and everyone's like, that's what we expected. Or Bama could squeak by in some sort of weird fluke win. I truly do not know what's going to happen in this one. I have no feel for this one. Feels so weird. I'm going to go ahead and take Georgia. They should have lost against Tennessee. I understand that. Bama, probably not as bad as we think. Florida State, maybe better than we think. But I don't know. This is like a void with 10-foot pole for me, but I'm going to ride with the dogs. This is like when people say in roulette, never bet against or never zag the trend or whatever. Go ahead and give me the dogs, but only because I don't feel passionate either way.
So Alabama has been poor on the road. Not great last year. Obviously took those dumb losses to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma and just have looked flat all season long. Started out the season, look awful at Tallahassee. And I will say that this Alabama team does look a lot different. Kalen DeBoer is coaching with a fire, a passion he has not had, and has kind of been, something that a lot of Alabama fans have desperately wanted out of him, to kind of coach his Crimson Tide a little bit like Saban, to kind of ride their ass a little bit, put a fire under them, because the effort wasn't there, the intensity wasn't there, and it looks like it has been there. I think the point that Jameson made about, it was either Jameson or Blake, that one of y'all made about they kind of get the sleepy games. Like that's when the Alabama looks bad on the road. You're dead on. Last year, the one big road game they won, LSU, highly ranked matchup, went in Tiger Stadium, absolutely clobbered them. So to me, I feel like Alabama is in a position where they're really looking to prove themselves again. I mean, you see Alabama and Georgia, and it looks shocking to see a 17 next to Alabama's name. That looks weird. That doesn't feel right. Everyone's counting them out. I think this Georgia team has a lot of deficiencies. They were able to hang with Tennessee on the road. That was, Tennessee's kind of boogeyman team is Georgia. Georgia's boogeyman team is Alabama, and they're hungry, and they're looking to make a statement. I like the Tide plus 3.5 here. We'll see how it goes. I think this is going to be a banger of a game. This is a great slot to have 2 TVs or maybe 3 TVs, given that right. Oregon, Penn State's going on, or to be in Las Vegas, which a place I will be for this one, which I'm very excited for. But yeah, this is going to be a banger. It's a don't bet, just enjoy type of deal, but I'm going to go with the Tide. And
for TV, UMass, Missouri. No, I'm kidding. It's definitely Kentucky, South Carolina.
TV.
Oh boy.
Or got
Kentucky,
Arizona,
South Carolina. That's stank. What?
The third TV you should be watching World of T-shirts. Just scrolling.
I'm glad you brought him up again, Ty. Thank you. I've been meaning to talk about him. He's been on a bender for the past couple of days. Monday and Tuesday night was a little bit wild.
Uh-oh. All right, let's hit our favorite pick of the week.
Why aren't the brakes working? Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What? Oh, God! Christ, guys, I can't stop this fast!
It's time for our wild card pick, where we pick our favorite games from outside of the slate. Quick little look at the standings. Bowden, Blake, and Jameson, perfect 4-0. Ty is 2-2, and I'm 1-3, which looks bad, but it's better than 0-4. So we're in rebuild mode here. We're gonna let Blake go first, just because this is a situation where we typically don't like to do redos, and as he recorded this ahead of time, just want to give everyone a heads up.
And lastly, for my wild card pick of the week, I apologize if I'm choosing one that somebody's already chosen. Usually I play by the rules, the unwritten rules of the weekend spread. You can never choose a wild card pick that somebody else has chosen. Some of us have broken it on it, not me. So I apologize if I do it this week. It's not intentional, but I had a game just scrolling through it really quick that I love. Just pick on a bad team, pick on one that is down, just doesn't seem to know what is up. I'm going to take BYU -6.5 going to Colorado. Colorado can be a funky place to play, but I'm not worried about the altitude factor with BYU. It seems like Bear Bachmeier has honestly been a really good fit for that BYU team, that they have just solidly been racking up wins, getting in good performances, just showing that how well coached they are. They're just one of those teams that I feel like their floor is always going to be 7-5, 8-4, just because they are so dang well coached. And Dion is just sliding. Like we're into week, 5 now, and he's still doing quarterback roulette. He can't find a guy. He has 3 guys that he doesn't trust. He's just switching them off week to week in order to try to resolve something. I think getting this at 6.5, I don't know if it moved to 7, but it doesn't matter with the weekend spread rules. I'll take it any of those points. I just feel like BYU is a significantly better team. Like, they're just going to route them. They are going to just manhandle them. They're way better coach. They have an identity, and I just feel like Dion, after the whole Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders stuff, has not been able to find an identity at that program and really doesn't seem to know what's up. So I'm going to take BYU -6.5.
All right, BYU -6.5 is Blake's play, and a sincere thanks to Blake for recording these on his trip out in France. I'm going to start mine off. So earlier on in the show, when we were talking about Illinois, I said that I thought that disaster of a game last week was more about Indiana than it was about the Illini. And because of that, I'm going to go with the Indiana Hoosiers -7.5 at Iowa. Kurt Cignetti is for real, man. This guy, what he did, getting Mendoza in and just rebuilding that offense, this thing's for real. The Hoosiers are for real. This is a continued effect. This was not a one-year wonder. And Iowa, I have not been frankly impressed by their offense. You know, they look like same old. I think on the road, Indiana makes a statement, covers the 7.5.
Yeah, I do.
You never saw this coming. I summoned Pot of Greed.
Oh, but I'm not done yet. I'm adding one more game. We're going to look. We're getting this wild card streak to 500 here because I saw another really tasty game on the slate. So I'm using my Pot of Greed pick, my one Pot of Greed pick for the season, and I'm going with a team that I was really high on. They let me down a little bit in a pretty big game against Missouri, but I think the Kansas Jayhawks are pretty legit in the Big 12. They got 4.5 against Cincinnati at home. Last time we saw them out, they clobbered West Virginia, a team that beat Pitt at home. And I know that's not much, but I think this Kansas Jayhawks team, you know, with Jalen Daniels, with everything they've got going on, I think this is a legit contender in the Big 12. They're probably not going to beat Texas Tech. They're probably not better than TCU, but they're going to cause a lot of chaos. And this one, you know, at home in Lawrence, I like 4.5 here against Cincinnati. I think, to me, you know, I don't want to hedge to or go too hard against them for losing to Missouri, who I kind of really like with Bo Prabula and everything they've got going on. So I don't want to too harshly penalize them. So Kansas -4.5, that's my play.
Yeah, I do have a quick question for you, Bobby, on your original one. I love that wild card pick. There's so many, or that Pot of Greed. There's so many tremendous games There was like 4 different games I had that I was like, oh, I know for sure he's doing this one. This is pot of greed because there's so many amazing wildcard plays. But I do want to say, as a reformed Brent Venables believer, in reference to the Indiana football team, who wouldn't be doing an amazing job with the schedule that Kirk Cignetti has been given by the Big Ten? Last year, for example, I will say they played 2 teams who finished the season ranked, including the playoffs, and they lost both of those games. Of course, they're doing amazing. They play legitimately no one on their schedule. Like this year, they played a
Skull Drug number 9 at home.
That should not have been. That shouldn't be ranked now. It's absurd that they are.
Ranked too high. Ranked too high. But that Illinois team is not.
Illinois is not going to finish.
And it was a bludgeoning, man. I don't think they're going to finish. Man.
Yes, it was a good team. It was a good team. I don't think they're going to finish in the rankings.
And it's Iowa.
And then they play Oregon and Iowa.
I mean, we'll see how it is against like the elite teams.
I'm just saying.
I think against the Iowas of the world, I think they can. I think they could cover 7.5 on the road. I don't know. And I liked Mendoza at Cal. I like Mendoza like at Indiana even better. Cignetti's, I think, the real deal. That dude is a coach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, I don't know. Next James Franklin, maybe. Anyways, I just had to get a hater pick out there because I am not doing a hater pick for my wild card. I do want to give some honorable mentions. If you love just living life on the edge, you're telling me I can take Vanderbilt minus 22.5 against a 3-1 team in a week 5. That is all the context you need to know that is living life on the edge.
Utah State's quarterback's Bryson Barnes for any throwbackers.
Yeah. Is Diego Pavia going to lead you to the chosen land there? Earlier in the week, because I actually picked my wild card when we recorded last week. I was looking ahead and I said, "Ooh, I like this one. I'm going to pick it." And that was Central Florida versus Kansas State, which is K-State minus 6.5 right now. 1-3 K-State. You're telling me I can get UCF with points with Scott Frost, UCF national champion, back in town? But then something happened, and I have to mention this. NASA announced their 2025 astronaut class. And once again, the place that fraudulently calls themselves Space U has not a single astronaut from Space U, which is very confusing because Purdue produces a lot of astronauts. They had another astronaut this year. The Naval Academy, shout out to my beloved midshipman, Navy, has produced the most astronauts of anyone, and even more if you count the Naval Test Pilot School that Navy and Marine aviators go to, including an Army aviator that was selected this year for the astronaut class. UCF is not Space U, and they proved it again this year, so I cannot pick them. So I'm left with one team that I love, and they are playing a conference opponent who is fairly decent, but has not played a team like them. I will say, before I reveal this team that I am picking, they are the 6.5-point favorites, which I love. It is a road game, and this team's resume is based on one win against the most fraudulent of fraudulence. And that, of course, is Alabama and Kalen DeBall not nowhere. Give me, somebody hit the chop with me, give me the Florida State Seminoles minus 6.5 going to UVA. UVA is a fairly decent team right now. They are tied for first in the ACC with a loss to NC State, but they have not played nobody. They beat Coastal Carolina. It's not the olden days when Coastal was good. They lost to NC State. They beat in-state William and Mary, beautiful campus, and they beat Stanford, also beautiful campus, not in the state of Virginia, even though they are in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I love FSU in this one. I feel like I'm missing something as a casual. This is only 6.5, but give me the Seminoles on the road, get a win against UVA. This is a night-ish game, kicks off at 4. Well, yeah, it's a night game. That's 4 my time, so yeah, it's a night game. Give me the Noles.
I was going to consider that pick, but I started to think about I wanted to do something dirty, and I wanted to do an ode to a team. So, good pick with the Florida State. This one right now, you won't be able to get it on ESPN Bet right now, which I know a lot of people are looking at, but it is on FanDuel, reputable sportsbook. It counts. So, Bobby last week feels all better about himself now. Feels so good. Oh, he finally got a wild card pick one. I'm so excited for you, Bobby. You barely let UNLV cover a 2.5-point spread versus Miami of Ohio. I'm picking Miami of Ohio minus 20.5 versus Lindenwood. You're saying what?
Oh,
What are you doing, Jameson? I am going to give Miami of Ohio their roses, is what I'm going to do. They deserve more roses. I feel so bad that they ended up not getting the cover versus UNLV. And Bobby is looking at me confused. Give the Red Hawks some roses right now. It's going to be a fun one. Am I going to
that is
tune
one
in?
of the that is one of the stankiest wild cards I have heard in my life. That's up there with Ty going with like Alabama minus 49.5 against some random team and actually covering it.
I will say there is a stankier one this week. You can get Mizzou at like minus 45. It doesn't really matter.
Those are all big names. Those are all big names. I'm picking Miami of Ohio
Lindenwood
to cover versus Lindenwood. It's on FanDuel. I checked 20.5.
I'm going to take your word for it, man.
I'm really excited for this one. We're going to Oxford, Ohio. It's going to be some good weather and a lot of offense. Give me some points.
Oh my
here,
God, he's using the we.
Oh my God.
Well,
using we for Miami of Ohio. Well,
Miami of Ohio, the birthplace of many fraternities around the country.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Same with Virginia Military Institute. So
like Manny or like MANY or MINI?
Many, like a lot of fraternities, like a lot of well-known big fraternities started at Miami of Ohio.
Yeah. Like Gamma Delta Epsilon. Anyways, this has been
oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I hate that I laughed at that as hard as I did. It's actually funny.
Gamma Delta Epsilon?
Yeah. I think you meant iota. I think
iota.
I meant
Boo.
iota.
Greek alphabet not knower.
Oh my
goodness.
It's been a while. You know the first two. So, anyways.
I can tell you right off the dome right now the Greek alphabet. I can go through
because you guys threw people out of windows if they didn't know. But anyways, we're not gonna politicize.
No, we didn't.
No. Never trust a Dallas Cowboy. Anyways.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We need to end this podcast probably. Any final, Jameson? Did you have more thoughts on Miami of Ohio and Lindenwood?
No, but I'm so excited to honor them this weekend, and I need to give it. I cannot wait for next week. And if they burn me, they're dead to me.
I hate that it's a good football number. That's the worst part. Is it's 20.5.
I was picking them no matter what.
I know you were, but it's also a good football number, which I hate. But no, you know what, Jameson? Just out of respect, I think I'm going to tell you when I'm in Vegas. I'm going to put a little. If they have a market open for Miami of Ohio and Lindenwood in Las Vegas.
Where is Lindenwood?
I'll tell you. Where is Lindenwood?
It's in right
it's
outside
very New
of
Jersey sounding.
It's in Missouri.
St. Charles, Missouri.
Is it? If we continue going, I'm going to have to start telling the lore of the new school Narwhal.
Oh God!
Notable.
We should go ahead.
I don't
and
know any of these people. Who is Lee Daniels?
That sounds familiar, actually.
Academy Award nominated director, producer, screenwriter.
Oh.
Wait, what has he done? He sounds very familiar.
I don't know. Just cut me off.
Anyways, thank you all so much for watching us. What?
He just recently did The Deliverance.
There you go. Okay. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. We always appreciate y'all tuning in for the weekend spread and our weekly OU show, the Schooner Pod. We will be back on Sunday to, not really recap an OU game, but we'll be talking all sorts of OU news. Kind of give us a little bit of a check-in, as we move towards Kent State, what to expect in the John Mateer-less era. And maybe talk a little bit of schedules for the SEC. We'll do something. We always find a way to do something here on the Weekend Spread in the Schooner Pod. But thank you all so much for watching, and good luck out there, everyone.